Right, so we've covered how I got over alcohol and gambling, got rid of sciatica with the stretches. Now I'm going to talk about my depression. That's a tough one because I was on antidepressants for ages. This was when I was drinking as well, antidepressants, so you can imagine what the drinking and antidepressants did. Gave up the drinking that, but I was still on the antidepressants. Gambling and everything, I was still on the antidepressants. Sciatica, got rid of that, still on the antidepressants. That was the next stage, was the antidepressants, obviously. So I went cold turkey. I was on an antidepressant called, I type it on the screen, citalopram or something, I can't remember what they call it. And it was an evil thing, it was really evil. It made me feel like a zombie, like empty. I had no feelings, I had no emotions, nothing. It was just, I was just a shell, like working and doing this. I knew what I was doing, but I had no emotions. Full of anger, literally I was full of anger all the time. And I needed to sort it out, so I took up Thai boxing, or Muay Thai. I did that, then I did the MMA, and that helped a lot. I did that for about a year, and then I gave it up because I busted my foot, and I just never went back to that. But it worked, and in that time, before I did the Thai boxing, I actually went to see a shrink. He was younger than me and he hadn't got a clue. He told me to write down all the things that I hate and I was angry about, and then burn it. And I was like, how's that going to help me? But of course, that's the way he's been programmed at university to do things, and that's the way he's got to do it, and that works because the university's right all the time. Didn't work, doesn't work. I never went back. And yeah, I did the Thai boxing. That helped me with my anger issues, because in martial arts you get taught not everything is about attacking and anger. It's about controlling everything, and it's different, it's weird. It teaches you respect and how to control your temper, know when to hit somebody and know when not to hit somebody. But I never went there for that. I went there for basically the fitness for start, because I've just got over the sciatica, and to try and get out more with people and socialise, and it did work. But I had to pay, obviously. It wasn't free. And then I changed my diet. I started eating a little bit more fruit in my diet, and that helped. So yeah, you need more fruit in your diet. Bananas, because they're full of potassium, and you need potassium. That's one way of getting rid of depression. Eat more bananas. That's all I did really to get over my depression. I had chronic fatigue syndrome, which the doctor said it was depression at the start. So that's just feeling tired all the time. Once you've got up in the morning, you want to get back to bed. And I had like pains all over my body. It was really odd. And then they put that down to something else. I don't know. There's so many things that they just want to check. They just give something a name, and then with that name, that label, comes a pill. That's how the medical establishment works. At that time, I'd just given up at the doctors, and I said, no, I'm not taking any more medication. And I changed my diet and I went vegetarian. That's when I gave up meat. So I just lived on fruit, veg, eggs and fish. That's all I lived on. And then I went from that diet and I ditched the eggs because I found that eating lots of eggs gave me migraines and gave me headaches. So I gave eggs up. And I lived on just a pescatarian diet. It's basically fish is the only animal product. That worked. But I just felt there's something missing, so eventually I gave up pescatarian and just went to just eating fruit and veg. That's all I did. And then eventually I went back to adding fish to my diet because I started suffering with joint pains and that. And somebody told me that eat walnuts. Walnuts are really good, they're full of omegas and stuff, all the omegas you need. So I started eating walnuts by the bucket loads. Literally every week I'd go through about 6 packets. When I got hungry, walnuts came out and I used to eat those. That worked. joint pains went, and I didn't need to eat fish again. So it's down. People will say to you, all these naysayers, where are you getting your protein from if you don't eat animals or don't eat meat? Well, 6% of fruit is protein. That's why we're told to eat 5 a day, because it's protein. You don't get protein from animals. That's a myth. If they told everybody the truth that eating animals was good for it, was bad for you, no one would eat them, and then they'd lose money. I mean, there'd be no need for cows or sheep or anything like that, because people don't understand the dairy industry is massive. It's barbaric as well. And if you drink milk or have cheese, cut that out of your diet straight away. Honestly, I cut that out of my diet. I noticed within like 2 weeks of not eating dairy products, I felt more energised, less toxic. I mean, I used to suffer with gout in my big toe, and I couldn't walk. One day I had to actually buy crutches to walk me to school, just take my daughter to school. And everybody in my village drove past me as if, oh, he's alright. They never even offered to give me a lift. That's the sort of place I live. That's society, isn't it, really? No one wants to help anybody. It's always, if you go to anybody and say, oh, I've got this to do and this to do, what's in it for me? That's how people think, and you've got to lose that mentality. But I've found now I'm on a fruitarian diet, as you know, I told you in the last video. When I went vegan, I went totally vegan, but it wasn't raw food. Raw food's just a few weeks. I went vegan, and I noticed spiritually I was like awake. It was really strange, odd feelings, out of body experiences. It was really odd, it was really strange. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to go and I'm going to do another video. I think I'm going to talk about how you can change your diet step by step. I think that's the best way. From my perspective, how I did it might not be right for everybody, but it was right for me, and it worked. I've tried everything. I tried everything to get well. I tried something called colloidal silver for infections. It worked, but it didn't. It killed the infections off, but it didn't like finish them off by cutting their throat or anything like that. It's just beat them up a bit, but they came back worse. So colloidal silver didn't really work for me. If you take things like colloidal silver and that, you have to do it slowly, because you develop something called Herxheimer's reaction, which is nightmare. It was a nightmare. It kept me up all night long. I was having cold showers. But there's so many things. I think, yeah, my next video I'm going to tell you what's good for you and what's not good for you, the myths and things like that, because life's not how you're told. It's just not how you're told. We're brought up to eat meat, and you're not supposed to eat meat. But that's a mixed debate, really, isn't it? It's a mixed debate. I've learned that when you eat meat, you get disease and you get sick all the time. And meat today is totally different to how it was 30 years ago. Totally different. It's full of hormones and crap and antibiotics. Remember, what the animal eats, you eat. It's nature, innit? So yeah, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna do another video, but I won't be doing it now. I'll be doing it another day, probably in the woods or somewhere again, where it's more peaceful and quiet and tranquil. Stay healthy.